everybody for joining us at this this webinar on the Pro3 HS. Very excited to kind of introduce this printer to the market. We were in at Rapid TCT about a month, 6 weeks ago, and got just amazing feedback on this thing. You know, and everybody said, well, we want to learn more. We want to learn more. We had just so many questions that we decided that we would go onto a webinar, show this thing to where people that might not be able to make it out to these shows, might not be able to make it out to TCT, have a lot of questions, could come and join us. So very thankful to have everyone here. We've got a great group of panelists, and I'll just kind of introduce everyone here. This is Mr. Taylor Kirk.
Hi.
Technical sales representative here at Raise3D. We're in the Houston office. We've got Jeffrey DeRosso in our California office. He's an applications engineer, and we'll be, when we get into the weeds on some of the more technical aspects and the numbers, Jeff will help us out. And our very, very special guest, Max Droog, CEO of Droog Moto, who has just a real exciting application, custom-built motorcycles, a little bit on the nose with the metaphor of beyond speed, building very fast motorcycles. Max, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Brad, Jeffrey, Taylor, good to meet you again. And thanks for having me. I'm really excited about the opportunity to be here.
You bet, you bet. So I guess let's just dive right in. I was looking at the sort of our guest list, Taylor, and a lot of people that names and companies I recognize, and some new ones. So for those that might be new to Raise3D, as a brand, as a printer, tell us about the ecosystem. And when you buy a Raise3D printer, you're getting way more than a printer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not only do we have these industrial and professional grade printers, we have a fleet of people backing it up every step of the way. You could start off with me or a member of my sales team to help walk you through basically all the different features of every printer and the different applications of when you would use a printer, who, what, when, where, why. And then also we do demos and test prints and things like that. So you're making a sound decision with that. And then after you move forward with the printer, not only do you get the 3D printers, but you also get the software solution with Raise Cloud, where you can remotely monitor all your printers, all your prints, and see what's going on. And also the Idea Maker Slicer software, which is a very intuitive software, has a really nice layout in the sense that it's very easy to navigate. And also with that idea, our Idea Maker Slicer software, it gives you access to the open filament program where you can download more templates for the different filaments, because you can use third-party filaments if you would like to. And then after sales, we have our lifetime technical support, where we have our tech team here in the office in Houston, Texas with us, and also in California as well, that are here to help you, and you can call them if you have any questions. And we also are now offering on-site maintenance and training and things of that sort if that needs to happen.
Yeah, the technical, really a hidden gem of buying a Raise3D printer these days. Getting somebody on the phone, seems almost impossible. You can't get, people that you need to submit a ticket. It's a hassle. It's a pain. People are really amazed when they come into the Raise3D family that, man, when they want to optimize their printer, they want to learn more about it. They can get somebody on the phone, pretty much. Regular business hours, and it's a very personal service after the sale kind of environment.
Yeah, and they could call their salesperson for questions or tech team for questions, whatever they need to get those things taken care of.
Yeah, really, a big part of having a Raise3D printer. Now, we'd be remiss if this particular webinar is going to be mostly about the Pro3 HS, but it's not even close to the only line that we have. Can you just walk us through and touch on some of the other printers that Raise3D has to offer?
Yeah, I can do some shameless self-promotion.
Sure.
We've done a really good job of taking these industrial grade printers and downsizing them into a more user-friendly and accessible point for any of our customers to use it, all the way down to desktop printers like our E2 and E2CF series, where you can do some rapid prototyping. But if you need to do some more large scale printers, we have the Pro3 series as well. And also we've just this year released our first resin printer, the DF2, with its integrated workflow system. So it's taken this RFID technology and just translating all the settings and timings and things like that between the wash and cure system. But also we do have the large format industrial printers like the RMF 500, which has a huge build volume of 20 inches cubed, and it goes extremely fast. And then we also have the metal fuse system, which does true metal 3D printing as well.
Yeah, it feels like we'll likely get a lot of metal questions
Yeah.
throughout this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd always say that you don't have a conversation about 3D printing that doesn't begin and end with metal.
Mhm.
So in terms of industries and applications, the people that are able to help their businesses thrive by partnering with Raise3D, I know that this is something that at Raise3D we've really tried to become strategic partners to help our customers succeed. So much so that we have created an application consultation where we not only will help you with the guts and the actual operations of your printer, that you buy from us, but we also want to help your business succeed. Now, Jeffrey, you kind of were the pilot of this program, of how we can go into the market and talk to people about their specific applications. Tell us a little bit about how that's going.
Yeah, that's correct. So because we work with so many different industries and we work with so many different applications, what we do with the application consultation is we actually tailor it to that person, where if they need help with getting into a new application, or they're needing a materials change, say they have a material that they currently use in a different process and they want to get into additive, we can help with that, or even tune the settings that they're working with to kind of finite and define it for their application specifically. With application consultation, you can actually sign up on our website, any of the industries or application pages. You can actually book a slot time, and basically we'll be able to help you.
And speaking of applications, as I was saying, one of our favorite customers, one of our favorite applications, because it is so very cool. Max, tell us a little bit about your application and bespoke motorcycle manufacturing with Raise3D printing.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Max. I'm CEO of Droog Moto, and we're a smaller team based out of Washington State, but our clientele base is worldwide. I have 2 electric bikes behind me, an e-bike, and more of an electric mini moto, but then we also do gas and all kinds of other things as well. But 3D printing for us has really paved the way for where we can take our bikes aesthetically, mechanically, technically. And as we're ramping up distribution in Saudi Arabia and stuff as well too, and as we're pushing out more and more models of our bikes, the theory of and the concept of 3D printing for us has been a game changer. Instead of injection molding, high tooling costs and everything as well, it didn't really make sense for us because we do smaller batches. We don't do mass production, and every bike is specially curated for that one person. So we kind of do a bike at a time throughout our build schedule, which is pretty sweet. So we get to spend a lot more time with the client. But on that aspect, with using like the Pro3 HS, it allows us to do higher batch printing. So a lot of the bikes use like a panel, like a part like this will get used on a lot of different models. If that one model is, say there's 5 different ones being sold, but it's allowed us to allocate costs down more, which is nice. And it's allowed us to up I'd say the quality of our builds with different materials like carbon fiber ABS, ASA, nylons, and things of that nature. So far, I mean, 3D printing, I think for us is just going to keep going more and more and more. And I can't wait to see where it goes. As you brought up metal 3D printing, I want to start metal 3D printing our tanks actually, which I think would be a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, always comes up. So, but let's dig into the Pro3 HS. Kind of the belle of the ball, and it's what we're going to talk about here. Taylor, you've been around since we've launched this thing. Tell us a little bit about a little longer than that. Tell us a little bit about the Pro3 HS. What are some of these components that everybody's so excited about and talking about out there in the marketplace?
Well, yeah, one of the big things that we did with the Pro3 HS printer is we went ahead and basically we took our Pro 3 series and just did some major improvements on it, to where it's coming out of the box with the hyperspeed printing, going 300 millimeters per second right out of the box. It's able to print 1 kilogram and 2.5 kilogram spools right out of the box as well. And also, just a friendly reminder, our Pro 3 HS and our Pro 3 Plus HS are very much very similar in the same printer. The only difference between the two is that the Pro 3 Plus has an additional 12 inches of build volume. So everything I say about the Pro 3 is the same for the Pro 3 Plus as well. Again, the only difference is that the Pro 3 Plus has a 24-inch build volume on the Z-axis. But yeah, we've done a lot of advancements on that.
Yeah, we'll dig into each of these, each of these specs as we go along. Walk us through, I guess, kind of some of the key features, the additions, what people can expect when they get this printer online.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned, it has the hyperspeed FFF technology right out of the box. It has a motion control upgrade with the closed loop motors. Also auto filament switching. That was actually a lot of feedback that we got from our customers, that we were going to them and be like, what is something that you wish we could add to the next model? We wanted to have continuous printing. There it is, auto filament switching, a new building platform for more efficient heating and reducing wait time when starting prints. And then also the RFID sensors, which we'll go into that a little bit more later. And then it's already ready to go to be compatible with the hypercore filament, which is our high-speed carbon fiber infused filament.
Yeah, and all of these, features kind of add up to, a value where, when you get the Pro 3 HS, it helps you enhance your business. It helps your manufacturing capabilities. Talk a little bit and just touch upon, like I said, we'll dive into the details of each feature. What's the value add here?
Or what do you mean by the value add?
What are the benefits that we're going to get out of, having Pro 3 HS in a manufacturing line?
Well, yeah, we'll dive into these topics a little further up this webinar. But yeah, the high-speed printing, especially with the composite materials, the carbon fiber infused materials, not only when you increase the speed, we are not going to decrease accuracy or effectiveness, and we'll talk about that as well. And then longer lasting reliability and durability with the printers themselves. These printers are built to last. We still have people using printers that were released about 10 years ago, and which is kind of a pain in the butt for me as a salesperson.
Makes it tough to sell a new one when the old ones won't break.
Yeah. And then also maximizing production efficiency with minimal manual intervention, in the sense that these are pretty plug and play. Let it go, we'll let it do its job, and then take your print when it's done.
Fantastic. So, I mean, obviously the title of this webinar is Beyond Speed, and you can't really talk about 3D printing without talking about speed. The industry standards have launched, to where if you're not fast, you're not there. But talk about the high speed printing with our high performance composite material and what that really means to our customers.
Yeah, so we have our HyperCore series, which is like our hyper speed filament. Our hypercore filament is actually impregnated with carbon fiber and glass fiber inside of it to increase its strength, rigidity, and heat resistance. So these could be like in-use parts, and these are definitely stronger parts that you would just get off a normal plastic. And with the HyperCore series, we're actually able to achieve 300 millimeter per second prints, which is extremely impressive because carbon fiber prints tend to take longer print times because nylon tends not to like to go that fast. But we figured out a way to do it to where you're getting the higher speeds without sacrificing accuracy, strength, and reliability of those parts.
Yeah, Jeffrey, I can, there's a slide with speed statistics and data on it about 3D printing. So I'm sure you're salivating over there. Tell us a little bit about the capabilities, and the actual, capacity in terms of speed and material. Give us some data.
Yeah. So kind of what Taylor was saying was, as composite printing is normally relatively slow, when you go to the hypercore material, you can actually see here, very basically from between the PPA CF, which is a high temperature nylon, to the hypercore, from the E2CF you can see how the printing time has actually sped up by using the hypercore material. All the settings across the board are identical. That's where we can actually go into that. But you can see how basically it lowers the printing time, enables faster production and productivity. And I know, Max, you've been printing with the hypercore ABS that you have. How's that actually affected your production?
I'd say for us, the main thing, being able to print ABS at 300 millimeters a second is pretty wild. I remember when we first started 3D printing prototype parts just with PLA, I mean, we were still doing 50 to 75 millimeters a second. And now to get an end use carbon fiber part that has the rigidity, the strength, especially a lot of our bikes go to very hot climates. I mean, there's parts that are on motorcycles, so they're on solvents and chemicals and things like that. So we choose the right filament for the application. But to print at 300 millimeters is wild. You know, if I had a batch print 15 latch covers or fuel pump trim rings, and I can do that in the hypercore ABS, especially the CF15, it's wild. And then being able to just, we'll go more into this later, but just set it and forget it type of thing, where it's just batch print done, ready to go. And I know I'll have multiple end use parts at the end of the day. It's awesome, instead of having to make sure all my little prototypes are set in place and everything's going to par. So I don't know, most of it, I could go on for hours just like you about it. It's
Yeah.
all I want to print in is ABS. I don't want to print in anything else, because you get this like fine texture finish. And for a lot of people that are watching, if you're playing with slicers, you know, you can do like skin features and effects, and in Idea Maker you can change all these different parameters and features. But with the ABS, you just get this natural finish that looks brilliant, and it adds a cool effect to it. So not only do you get the benefit of ABS and the speed, you get a really good finished part, which is awesome.
Yeah, those aesthetics and, you know, and being able to, you know, print very specific parts to spec, you know, when you talk about speed, everybody talks about speed. You know, we've talked about the, you know, the industry standard has come up, but let's talk about, you can't talk about speed without talking about enhancing your accuracy. And you know, the speed of the printer is great, but what the real advantage, I think, in the Pro3 HS is the new closed loop stepper motor. This is a difference maker.
Oh, absolutely. Where our printers in the past have used open loop stepper motors, now we've incorporated the closed loop stepper motors on our Pro3 HS, which is actually what the type of motors you see on those industrial grade printers like our RMF 500. And we've done a very clever design on getting these highly accurate, highly efficient motors onto these printers to where we can do more precise high-speed printing without losing steps and getting better consistency. And then also, because of the closed loop motor system, it improves the accuracy and stability in the motion control system. And also, as you can see on the slide here, it reduces noise by 27%. If y'all haven't noticed, we've been having the Pro3 HS actively printing behind us the whole time. And I don't think anyone's noticed it at this point.
Yeah, it's smooth as silk. You know, in terms of you know, Max, when you know, we were talking to you about your experiences with the Pro3 HS, you had a lot to say about just kind of the smooth, quiet nature of it. Can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for us in our shop, we have a lot of different tools and machining parts going on, you know, from CNCs, lathes, plasma cutters, laser cutters, anything you can kind of think of. We do it all in-house for the most part. And so with having a machine, not only what's cool with the Pro3, and I tend to try and mainly just use enclosed printers because they stay cleaner on the inside and stuff, keep the build plates cleaner. But it's just, I'm getting sidetracked here. I'm sorry, your question was about the reliability of it and stuff.
Yeah, just in terms of the, and we'll get into reliability, durability, and that type of thing. In terms of just the smoothness and the lack of or the quietness of the printer is so impressive.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
About that all the
I've got
time.
a lot of, yeah, this webinar is getting me excited. The smoothness is it's good stuff, man. I mean, what's cool about it is it's one of those, and it goes back to what I was saying kind of earlier. You just kind of, you get a print going and you forget about it. And I'll have other printers going that are, you know, different makes and models that are not really shaking around and moving, but you noticeably hear them. You hear the fans, you hear everything kind of going on. The Pro 3, it sits in its own corner. It's quiet. It does its job. It's kind of like the best employee you could kind of have. It just
Yeah.
does what it's supposed to do. It doesn't cause any grief to our shop or what we need it from it. And it's just timeless results, which are awesome. So, yeah, I mean, you just saw they just put their microphone in the printer itself, and I didn't even hear it. I just saw what was going on. And so for us in a mechanical applications world, it is, you know, for all of those watching, it is for us, it's the printer to use for large scale, especially with the large Z-axis, for big prints, to be consistent and technically and mechanically like stable.
Yeah, and yeah, you know, throwing that in there with these fancy, you know, hypersensitive microphones and not being able, you know, noise, lowered noise is a pretty cool feature. So now let's talk build plate.
Yeah.
Taylor, tell us a little bit about the new build plate on the Pro 3 HS.
Well, the build platform that the build plate sits on top of has actually gotten a uniform magnet on there, so that way the entire build plate is able to adhere to the build platform, reducing model warping. On previous models, we had magnets dispersed amounts or throughout the build platform. This one, we just did one big magnet, gets the whole thing, holds it all down, and then we reduced that size of that build platform in order to get the build plate to heat up faster, so that way it has less material to go through the heat. To go through, therefore it could heat up the build plate faster, therefore starting to print sooner. And as you can see here, it takes about 2 minutes less to heat up, so that 2 minutes after multiple prints adds up very quickly.
Yeah, Jeffrey, thoughts on the build plate? I know that we've had, you know, multiple discussions on the benefits and the specs on the build plate. You want to share some thoughts?
Yeah, and I know that 2 minutes is a little conservative too, to kind of keep it in mind. I've actually seen some up to about 5 minutes. But it depends on what material you're printing with. But yeah, no, it's that magnet itself is extremely strong, where sometimes I even struggle getting the plate off, which is a fantastic thing when you're printing with the high temperature material and the hypercore material, such as like the hypercore PPA.
Now revisiting, and this isn't exclusive to the Pro 3 HS. This is really a Raise3D across the board feature of all of our machines. The long lasting reliability and durability of these are industrial grade printers.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about these workhorses.
Oh yeah, we've done the strengthen the hot end and then all metal nozzle, and which goes with our all metal frame. So a lot of industrial size printers out there, they have this complete metal encasing. Well, we went ahead and paired that down to where our machines are with the all metal frame and with the 4 Z-axis guide rails, 2 Z-axis ball screws, but then also a strengthened hot end all metal nozzle, so that way it's a stronger, longer lasting hot end. And then also we've optimize our double diaphragm couplings, so that the couplings are what connect the motors to the things that are going to be moving the moving parts in there. And if those couplings go out, the machine's not going to work. And we've actually increased the strength of our couplings because of these improved motors that we put on there. So that way it's just going to be longer lasting durability. Just thinking ahead of that and just going ahead, hey, let's put the strong couplings on there to make sure this printer keeps going.
Yeah, it's almost counterintuitive. You know, we talk about, you know, something being smooth as silk and, you know, kind of quiet and running on its own. And then you also, you know, and at the same time, you know, having industrial level durability and toughness. You know, Max, I know you wanted to revisit kind of how the set it and forget it, you know, peace of mind when you have a long print, you know. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the durability of the Raise3D Pro 3 HS.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so for us, most of our parts are very, I would say, technical and mechanical. You have some pieces, and I have a few samples I can show you. I don't know how great the quality is, but this is your all's PLA material, and so we mainly use PLA for quick prototypes. I printed this at nearly 400 millimeters a second, and you know, that was just changing the parameters, not even going through. And this is, to me, I wouldn't call it an end use part. for a good prototype part, it's great. You set your build plate temp. I personally like to set my build plate temp first. And I don't know if Jeff, you recommend that or not, because I like to get that nice and hot first, and then I go back and set my nozzle in heat and stuff like that. But yeah, so with the Pro 3 though, what's cool about it is when we're doing large batch prints, if I have 15 pieces on a build plate, and a part like this is pretty thin, so you can stack these up quite a bit. You can also monitor it. There's times when I go home, and even when I'm at home, I'm working, but when I'm at home, I can use the cloud, which I don't know if we'll touch base on as well through the app. I can just check the printer. If I'm at home, I used to have nightmares of waking up to prints just being like webbing, just laying all over the build plate. But now I can check it at home, see that everything's still going and moving smoothly. Most of our prints are, there's a lot of curves and chamfers and contours that we need to put either brass inserts on and stuff like that. This is like another trim panel part, and it's probably, it's got some pretty good detail on it. This is also a PLA prototype, but being able to get just consistent durability out of it for us is awesome. Like I said, going back to not doing injection molding, with injection molding, you usually get consistent, the same part over and over and over again. 3D printing, you're utilizing a tool where you could get varying results per print, but for the most part, all of the prints we've done have been the same back-to-back consistency. And it's kind of proven itself timeless now at this point that it just works. And that's only using the SICK nozzle, which is the upgraded heated nozzle for the carbon fiber ABS, PLA, and then the right side, we have the standard nozzle, which I typically use for just standard PLA, PETG, non-abrasive materials. Both are perfect for most applications.
Yeah, Jeffrey, any comments on kind of nozzles? I know that's a very common question, capacity for materials and, what's compatible.
Yeah. So normally when you're talking about nozzles and material, because we have the SICK nozzle that kind of covers 95% of the materials in one nozzle. That's why we have it with the machine. That's why when you have the machine to have a brass nozzle on it, it's not set up for the composites, but that's why we give the SICK nozzle for that.
Yeah, it's worth noting, Taylor, what's in the box nozzle wise? I think that's kind of a question that lots of people get on this printer.
Yeah, well, the Pro 3 HS comes with the hyperspeed FFF technology already installed. That's usually going to be the two brass nozzles on there. And we do have additional hot ends for sale with the SICK nozzles already installed there at multiple sizes at the 0.4 millimeters and the 0.6 millimeters as well. But then we also have other options. So they get a lot of variability and customization if whatever their application needs.
Sure. And the other thing that in terms of to speak to Max's point about kind of sleeping well at night and ease of putting your mind at ease when you have long runs, this printer you can do long runs with minimal or no intervention. When we were at Rapid, everybody looks at these huge dry boxes over here and it's like, what is going on with these gigantic spools? Tell us a little bit about the minimal intervention and the auto filament switching.
Yeah, so the minimal intervention is basically what we're saying when we're talking about like the plug and play aspect. And also with the auto filament switching, like I said before, this was feedback that we got from our customers who were saying, we just want the print to continue on, and like if the spool runs out, we just want it to go over to the other nozzle and continue the print. And now the Pro 3 HS can definitely do that as long as you have the same material on both nozzles. So if you're doing a print out of our HyperCore ABS carbon fiber and you want to continue that, we could do that, PLA, things like that. And what will be important to know on that is that this is actually only on the Pro 3 HS. So our previous models are not able to do that, but this also just increases the printing the print to continue being efficient while reducing risk of print failure and reducing manual intervention. So you don't have to swap filaments if you run out of filament.
Yeah,
you're good to go.
So Jeff, the question that we get a lot, and I'm sure that some people out there are wondering, with these giant spools, with the auto filament switching, what's the capacity? Can you run a print? Theoretically, how long can we run? What is the capacity for real here?
So normally when you're talking about that, you're probably looking about 5 to 7 days, depending on how much material you're actually going to run through. But something to note with that auto switching that you want to make sure is if you have, say, another material loaded in there, it's going to print at that temperature. So make sure you have that secondary material be your same as your primary, unless you're needing support specifically. But then that's where that comes in play. But that's where the auto switching is a benefit, where you can run one 2.5 kilo spool on the left, and then it runs out and then it continues another 2.5 kilo spool on the right. So getting a total of 5 kilos without having any intervention.
Yeah, a little show and tell. I think we had this wasn't in the camera shot, but here's the dry box, the 2.5 kilogram filament box. Pretty big boy here.
Yeah, and we just released this with the Pro3 HS. So this dry box, this could hold our 2.5 kilogram spool, and this would just sit on the outside of the printer and feed into the the accessible filament runout sensor over the top to the print heads as well. Yeah, we just released this again with the Pro3 HS, and it comes with its own humidity meter and also a temperature monitor on there as well, so you can keep an eye on that. You just need to add desiccant to help keep the humidity down on there and keep the water out of your filament.
Speaking of filament, loading filament and long production runs, another really, really cool piece of technology that allows your manufacturing process to run smoother, to keep a closer eye on it, to manage your production, is our RFID sensor technology. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so with the Pro3 HS, we've added a RFID sensor, and soon we're going to be adding RFID chips to our filament spools. And what that will do is after you've sliced the model and you got it to the printer, you could scan the spool that you're going to use, the film you're going to use on the printer, as a kind of like a stopgap measure to make sure you're using the right material. Therefore, that it's reducing mistakes, errors, issues, and also ensuring you're using the right material for these prints and not wasting time and money, letting a print go on for hours with the wrong material, and now you just wasted, again, time and money. A question though, Jeff, I have for you. We're introducing this RFID sensor and chip. Does that mean we're not going to be able to use the old school filaments in our open filament program?
No, not at all. That means it's just an added layer of protection. So when you're loading material, if you have the RFID, it's gonna prompt you on the screen of like what material you're actually printing with to make sure you're confirming it. But if you have materials that don't have an RFID tag, it's not gonna stop you from printing. It's just an added layer of protection.
Yeah, the OFP, I guess, just to be clear, it does not circumvent the RFIDs, so we could still use our open filament program, and everything will work just fine on this print.
Still saving.
That's correct.
Yep. So one of and again, this goes back to that this isn't unique to this printer, but Raise3D in general. It is a professional industrial grade workhorse, which with all of these bells and whistles that can help you maximize your efficiency. But at the same time, a lot of people might think, well, that's you got to have an advanced engineering degree, or really it's the ease of use is sometimes comes as really surprising to people.
Oh yeah, the touchscreen is very intuitive. The slicing software is really intuitive, and also all the other aspects to it to just make sure the machine's running efficiently. Like the first thing on here is the Eve Smart Assistant. That's our AI Smart Assistant that will guide our users to resolve their issues in the best way they can. So let's say like a jam occurs, Eve will pop up and say, "Hey, looks like you're suffering a jam." You'll press the little button on there, and then she'll generate a QR code for you to scan on your phone, and then walk you through on how to clear that effectively.
What Eve reminds me of? Clippy. You old enough to remember Clippy?
Yes.
Yeah, Microsoft. Yeah. Same kind of deal, but for 3D printing.
Well, our printer does not have Clippy. It has and then also it has power loss recovery. Power outages happen from time to time, so it's able to continue the print after you lost power. Automatic detection is a safety feature on here, so if you were to open the door, it would, or remove the top cover, it would pause the print, move the print heads out of the way in a safe manner, so you could address whatever is in there for whatever you need. And then also on the back side of the printer, what we added was our airflow manager. And this helps actually on like the softer plastics, the lower melting plastics like PLA. It helps move the heat out and get it out of there, but going through an air filter again, safety again with a filter with a HEPA filter with activated charcoal, things like that. And then you can also turn that airflow manager off so you can get the ambient passive heated chamber filled or nice and hot for those more dense plastics. And then also auto bed leveling, and then a live monitoring HD camera, like Max has mentioned before, how he can check it on his phone and sleep better at night. So it does improve sleep.
Yeah, and for so there's probably some sharp eyes out there that, you know, when we were talking about the door opening the sensor, said, hey, you guys opened the door earlier. That you can turn that setting off. So we've got it off here, and that's why it didn't shut down when we did had our little fun putting the microphones inside the
We like to
machine.
live on the wild side.
Yeah, we're always living on the edge for sure. So, you know, I think we saved our best for last here. You know, Max, I think a lot of people joined us, bespoke motorcycle manufacturing. You know, how 3D printing can be not just a prototyping tool, although it's you know, wonderful for that, but how it can actually be in used parts and custom made parts. Floor is yours, Max. Tell us a little bit about how you are successful out there.
Yeah, man. Well, the pressure's on, I guess. For me, I can talk about this for days. Our company and what we've created, the brand, it's my baby. You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where I'm always looking for ways how we can either not necessarily even cut costs, which I know is a big thing in business, but ways that we can improve. And that's where the 3D printing has come into play. For the longest time, when I first started building bikes, man, I was going to the metal store and I was using my angle grinder and just welding stuff together. Not always looking the prettiest, but it was functional and it worked. And that was 10 years ago. And now to think that I can rely on this pretty, pardon my language, badass machine to make me these end use parts that look killer that you see on OEM manufacturers, you know, at a hyper level, goes hand in hand. Our bikes have, like I said from the beginning, we do electric and gas. And so there's a lot of custom parts that require a lot of custom tooling too. So we also use 3D printing to create some custom tools that we use. We do our own intake systems, trim panels, aesthetic pieces. I think they're showing some stuff on the slides here right now. So a lot of the electronics are integrated into the prints. A lot of the aspects of the bikes, I try to utilize as much 3D printing as possible. And I don't want our bikes to be plastic heavy, even if it is like a carbon fiber composite material. I still want it to be nice and robust. And what's cool about putting a surface finish on it is you don't really get this 3D printed feel. You know, a lot of the times 3D printing can look, I wouldn't say gimmicky, but it can look cheap and it can look not like an effective part that should be on a bike. You know, we're talking about track bikes that are pushing almost 200 horsepower at some points and things that are on the highway going 80 miles an hour. So you want parts that can be reliable. If something happens to a part and we need to get something replaced, we have all our CAD files, we can print it. For our principle and where we're at with our business, 3D printing makes the most sense to use on all fronts, you know. So for us, it's been a wild ride so far, and I can't wait to see where it goes with the 3D printing. Like I said, I would love to even design and 3D print a metal frame. I think would be pretty cool. 3D printed tank. We do all of it in-house ourselves, so we're always looking for ways to how we can integrate the build process and the journey of creating these bikes on our own. And yeah, it's been wild. So we'll see where the next 10 years takes us, and what we have in store next. Maybe we'll be talking again at some point with, like, I don't know, the next technology or something crazy.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's definitely a you know, a metal webinar that we can do down the road.
Right?
You know, the possibilities are, you know, are endless. You know, that's the great thing about 3D printing. And I guess before we kind of get into the, you know, the Q&A section, if you do have some questions, please, for us or for Max, please go ahead and, you know, fire them our way. We can probably rattle through some of the more common questions. You know, one of the questions after everybody falls in love with the printer, how much does it cost? What's
Yeah.
the, and how can they buy one? How do they reach out to you know, to get their hands on one of these?
Yeah, so the printers are starting off with the Pro3 HS is at $5,599, and then the Pro3 Plus HS is $7,599. This is all USD. And you can reach out to a member of our sales team. You can reach out to me specifically. I'm here. That's my job. But yeah, that's where it's starting off at, and that's just for the printer itself.
Yeah, and you know, the as we talked about, the things that, you know, there's so much more that comes with that price. You know, there is a warranty. You know, that there is some cost to extending that warranty, but all the service and you know, is their lifetime. You know, our technical support is lifetime of the machine.
I do want to point out on the slide here, it says estimated delivery time, third quarter of 2024. It's released now. I have customers who have it. We have it in stock. We're ready to ship them out the door. So yeah, I know it's already third quarter as of a few days ago, but we've had them in stock and we're ready to go.
Yep, seen them in the warehouse, and you know, hopefully to be in a you know, in a manufacturing line near you. Questions. Let's see. Looks like we've got a question from, where can I buy a Droog Moto bike? Max, I think that's yours.
Yeah, I responded to that one real quickly.
You responded.
I responded real quickly. I put the link to our site. You can go directly to it there. And if you're interested in a model, we've got a couple different models in the list there. And yeah, feel free to get a hold of us. We ship worldwide. We're not really a local business, if you will, but we're located in Washington State. But we ship a lot of bikes to the East Coast, California, Miami. As I mentioned earlier, we just started ramping up our distribution in Saudi Arabia. And so that's where the tried and true test of filaments in that heat over there they have in the desert. So we've been using a lot of ASA, and the carbon fiber ABS stuff has been working out really, really well for everybody over there.
I also do see a question from Tom in regards to carbon fiber, basically using a sheet metal screw to hold apart on an assembly without using a metal insert. So that is, you can do that. You just kind of need to accommodate a little bit more in that design aspect, where you can actually use a threaded, you can actually print your threads, or you can actually do say like a through hole, and it's actually a little bit denser part. That's actually something where an application consultation may be beneficial for you for that specifically. That way we can actually go through all that stuff.
So a couple of some good questions coming in. Here's a challenging one for you, Taylor. What makes Raise3D different from other 3D printers?
It's really, like we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the fleet of people that we have that just keep making sure our customers are successful with their prints. We're all here to help in some way, shape, or form by improving efficiencies, help, and then whether that be time or money, and really giving all of our customers everything they need to be successful with the training, with written out walkthroughs, with me on the sales team and me being amazing. All those things are factors.
Yeah, it's mostly Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's obviously my entire team here that make us a lot different. It's not, you know, here's your printer, good luck. It's here's your printer, what else do you need? How can we help you?
Yeah,
that's the whole point, is the continued service.
And it's just the design and the machines, the printers themselves, you know, they just draw a lot of eyeballs. It's you know, for what you are getting at the price point that you're getting it, a lot of people are very much wowed by this industrial grade printer that just doesn't break. You know, it is a workhorse. It's got the ease of use. And it's just a sleek, you know, machine that you can fold into your manufacturing process. And that's why we're, sell them all over the world. That's why I've been here so long. It's, just a great machine and a great, kind of family to support it.
Mhm.
Jeffrey, anything to add as kind of the longest tenured, person on the panel here?
Honestly, we're always looking to improve. That's the thing, is we're not sitting idle, is always looking for the next thing.
And it's easy for us to drink the Kool-Aid and talk about Raise3D. Max, I think maybe you could help us fill this question. How has working with Raise3D kind of helped you be successful in in manufacturing your bikes?
Yeah, I mean, going back to exactly what Jeff just said, how can we improve and where can we take things to the next level? I think just like the printers you see over the generation have evolved to now the Pro3 HS, it's like our bikes. We have the integration from, I would say, I guess the evolution of petrol gas bikes into the electric mobility sector. And so with e-bikes, it's allowed us to really dive further into different aspects of building bikes. And that's what's Raise has been great with from the beginning, that we connected with one another to being able to use materials that I didn't think I personally would be able to use. I would either have to use a third-party company to get made, but being able to do this in our own shop and then have beautiful end use parts at the end of the day or that next day ready to get bolted onto our bikes, it's groundbreaking. And so for those that do small level production, but you need those higher consistent results, it is timeless. I mean, there's lots of printers out there and I have multiple makes and brands, and I try to use the Raise as much as possible when it's not printing other stuff. I just want that print to be done so I can start the next print and keep it going.
Yeah.
Good question here. Where can someone get a sample print?
Yeah, you can go to our website. At the very top of the bar, there is a request sample, request demo. That's on our homepage, and then there under the request sample, you could pick the different types of printers, what type of print you're looking for, things like that. So definitely they can get it from our website, or they can reach out to the sales team directly, and we can help get a test print going for them of a specific model if they need that.
In terms of sample templates, this question here, how much tweaking adjusting from the sample templates for materials is needed in the slicer? How default are we in Idea Maker?
Very little tweaking. The only time that you would need any tweaking adjusting is if you're introducing a filament that's not already have a template, but there's a lot of crossover and overlap. It's very few and far between on how often that is. But if for whatever reason, you're having an issue with a template or something, our tech support is here to help. You can call, you can submit a ticket, and they could definitely walk through the troubleshooting and getting that all figured out and dialing in those settings with you.
And same thing with anytime you're looking for like an application kind of thing to fit your application, say you need to overflow something to make it watertight. I did see that we missed a question that said, can it go any faster?
Yeah. Can it go any faster, Jeff?
So I will say we are currently working on something to make it go faster. Now, Max said earlier 400 millimeters per second, that he had a part that was printing at 400. But we are currently working on something for 500 millimeters per second for the hyperspeed ABS, PLA, and ABS V2 for that, for the Pro3 HS.
Little inside baseball look there. You can see what's coming down the road. Well, I think that we fielded all the questions. I know we're running up on time.
Did you check chat? The other chat? The one with the 11?
So Tom did have another question, how to price the printing process to customers to be able to pay for the units. Max, I know you currently are kind of doing that a little bit, but I also know in Idea Maker there is of like a cost per material. So when you have that estimate, you can kind of factor that into that. How do you kind of use that?
Before you answer that,
Yeah, I
Max,
mean,
fast. Hi,
uh,
Tom. It's good to hear from you again. Tom is my contact. I've been working with him on that. Anyway, Max,
Gotcha.
as you were
yeah, so Jeff, you asked about kind of calculating the cost per part, was it? To kind of see
Yeah.
where we're at.
Basically, it's
Yeah,
like
so right,
basically cost per part, but also how do you factor that into like when you say for the price of the bike?
yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, your initial cost on all fronts, if you're already spending the amount of money to buy this printer, the cost per part should be, in my overlook, a huge factor of it. Now, our bikes are bespoke built. They're at a higher price point. They start at $25,000 for a mini bike, and they go all the way up to $50,000 to $60,000. And so for us, that allows us, though, to use materials at a higher price point. If you're looking to just print small little things here and there, some of those applications might not be in the same wheelhouse as they are as for us. Now, for example, I know with other slicers that I won't mention, there are ways, and I'm pretty sure Raise does this too. I haven't set it up exactly yet, but where you can put in your spool quantity and your spool pricing. It shows your total grams, and then it shows you exactly. And I think Taylor's shaking his head over that. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that there's definitely a way to do it. Yeah, and it shows you exactly like to the penny, this part. If I were to print this out of carbon fiber, the ABS Hypercore 15, it would cost $30. It might not cost that much, but I think I did one print actually when I first set it up. It might do it automatically, but now we have our own custom profiles set on the printer. This one, this is an ASA piece, but I had did this in carbon fiber ABS. I think it said it was like $12 with the parameters I had done it. And this kind of goes back into that question somebody was asking about putting a screw in there. This one has magnetic inserts in it, so you could tap and thread these as well if you wanted. For us, the cost per print isn't crucial. And I'll be honest about that. I don't really monitor what it is. I know a spool of filament could cost anywhere from $20 to $100, depending on what I'm using. I factor in the whole spool cost into the bike, and I know I can probably get 3 of these prints done. Each one of these, I'll just split in half, say $50 a piece, something like that. And so we don't sell our parts individually. It's per unit cost per the bike. So we have kind of a weird different way of pricing out parts like that. I usually do just like a bulk material cost. But there's definitely ways to make it easy and break it down. And Idea Maker kind of gives you a hand on here. Here's what you're going to run and everything. And it's cool too, even with the OFP program. If you're running, say, like, I think I'm not quite sure exactly what the Hypercore ABS spools run, is like $80, something like that. $60.
The Hypercore ABS that you were using, I think it was 90 or 100.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you think about it, you're getting an entire kilogram worth of filament. I think I still have a quarter of that spool left, and I've printed, shoot, man, probably 30 or 40 of these already, and this is for a part that gets put on an electric motorcycle. If you were to break that down to injection molding, your cost per part is way less, but your initial tooling cost is like $10,000 just to get a tooling, a die made, and so that's 2 Pro3 printers, which could print.
And not just that, but also if you have to change anything on that tool.
Changes plus lead time plus everything. I can sit on Fusion or SolidWorks, design a part, have it printed, put on a bike in one day. If I was going back to my old ways of doing that, of getting things cast, molded, carbon fiber this, fiberglass that, whatever, it doesn't make sense. It's too long. The process, it's kind of old school at this point to me. I think 3D printing, I mean, you see it in Formula One, you see it in GP racing, you see it in, God, I think companies like Ferrari and Bugatti are using 3D printing on certain parts. And so it's a win-win. And it's cool.
Cars, they use 3D printing.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So it gets me excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Max. I did see in here, Tom, you said something in here as far as education to be a better overall user. How do we approach that? I have one engineer in my office with 8 years experience to help, but actual good training sources are needed. We do offer training on our printers, and we do have our Raise3D Academy, which is on our website, to if you want to refer to that on your own time and go through that and learn the basics of 3D printing. And then also, like Jeff mentioned before, the application consultation would help kind of expand that knowledge. So after you get a good foundation in 3D printing, and now you start trying to figure out, okay, how can I improve what materials should I use, who, what, when, where? Jeff could help you with that, or our member of our tech team. But yeah, we do offer trainings for sure. And another good question: how to price the printing process to customers to be able to pay. For
Yeah, that's what we just.
Yeah,
you
they
just
kind of
did.
dove into
You
that.
just did that. My
Yeah.
bad. Reading's hard for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know if we necessarily have it, what is the closed stepper motor? Where is that, for the E2, don't know.
Yeah, I'm not
anything-
sure on the closed loop stepper motors being added to the E2 designs.
Mhm.
There we may have a desktop printer. I'm not honestly. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think so.
kind of an R&D question,
Yeah.
but worth
But these are the
keep you posted.
these are
kinda.
the kinds of questions that we take to our R&D team.
Yeah.
You know, hey, we got someone asking about this. Are y'all working on this? And then
No doubt. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you if any suggestions like that. Well, like I said, we like to partner with our customers, and if you're like, hey, if y'all could put this with this, or we'd love to see this feature. That's part of the process is listening to our customers and putting into the market, what we hear about and what the needs are. But good question. Wish I had a better answer for the E2. That's.
we landed on any materials in this printer. We do have the open filament program, and it's able to print pretty much everything outside of like metal, like real metal filaments. But yeah, it's not really limited. That's why we have our open filament program and willing to help you out with that, with either reaching out to a salesperson or to our tech team.
And I think we're right at noon. So appreciate the time. If there are any additional questions, go ahead and shoot them over, and we'll make sure to get answers back for everything that's on here that we may have missed. But thank you everybody so much for joining us. We will likely have more webinars on some different machines. We've got a resin printer, the DF2, that we may do a webinar on. I know that there's a lot of requests for metal, so you'll be hearing from us sooner than later. Here's our contact information, and we'll be sending a recording of this out, in an email after we close up here.